It's the International Soccer Preview. We are Soccer Files Canada. Welcome to Series 32, looking at the players of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This episode is looking at the players of Ecuador. Part 1, the candidates. Here we go! Hello and welcome to the International Soccer Preview by Soccer Files Canada. I'm Kevin and this is Series 32 on the players of the 2026 World Cup. This episode covers Ecuador's players. We're not sure if we're going to complete all 48 teams before the Cup, so we're going to delay on the remaining African and CONCACAF teams. We covered Ivory Coast, Tunisia, Egypt, Senegal, Algeria and Congo DR just 6 months ago for the African Cup, so those are not too out of date. The only CONCACAF team we have left to do actually is Curacao, but we covered them less than a year ago for the 2025 Gold Cup, and they haven't changed a lot. If you're interested in these teams, check out our back catalogue using the addresses on the screens or in the show notes. Okay, on with the show. We're doing these player media casts in two parts. Part 1 today is a look at the candidates for the squad and their likelihood of making it. We examine the participation of players in games over the recent period, as well as a couple of other factors. And we categorize them into definite, likely, possible but unlikely, and seemingly off the squad. We'll go into more detail introducing the players we think likely to reach the final squad, and less, perhaps even just the names of players unlikely to get there. Part 2 will come out when the squad lists are released and the final squad selected, probably in early June here. At that time, we'll go back over the list we create today and see who made it and who didn't. And we'll also cover a couple of other things like updating injuries and predicting starters. So this episode has 3 sections. Section 1, we're going to look at some team information about Ecuador. That'll kind of put things in perspective for Section 2, the main part of the media cast. That's where we look at the players, position by position over the recent period. We give some career information on the players and talk about their likelihood of selection. And then in Section 3, we're going to begin that with a review of all the names we covered in Section 2, kind of putting all those together. We're going to make a short version of the media cast out of that. And we have a couple of other concluding matters like summarizing injuries and big players off the squad there. All right, let's move into Section 1. We look at the games in the build up to the Cup. So Ecuador their last tournament was the 2024 Copa America in the summer of 2024. That also took place in the USA, like this World Cup will. Let's look at the games. We begin with the tournament itself, although that's not part of the participation count that we're going to give you for each of the players. Basically after we introduce them. That was June and July of 2024. 4 games for Ecuador there. They did pass the group stage. They met Argentina in the quarterfinal, almost beat them actually. A late goal took the game to penalties. And there they lost to the eventual champions. A bit surprisingly, their manager was fired after that. The manager, I'll make the screen bigger. The manager, Felix Sanchez, I'm not sure they really could have expected to beat Argentina, and they did better than I expected them to do in that game. Anyway, in August, the new manager came in, so he'll be the one taking them through this period, and I'll give you his name, but we'll introduce him at the beginning of Section 2. It is Sebastian Becachese. So Becachese leading them through the following games, September to November 2024. They continued that huge round of World Cup qualifying in South America. already by this time they had played 6 rounds, so we were looking at rounds 7 to 12 here. We're not interested in the results, actually. We're thinking more about the lineups in this media cast. So 6 games there, 4 more games of that in March and June 2024, rounds 13 to 16, and there are 18 rounds in all. So it actually finished off in September of 2025. Some teams went on to play playoffs for the World Cup after that. Ecuador, though, got an automatic spot, so they were able to play friendlies in October and November of 2024, and 4 games of friendlies there. Sorry, I have some information on the screen that I really don't need. So there we go. And we do have 2 friendlies in March of 2026. And in fact, those games have been played by the time we're doing this media cast. However, our research just went up to the end of 2025, and we were kind of saving those games in March for part 2. So that is what we'll do. So in terms of player participation, we have 16 games. In terms of the formations that we're going to look at now, we're including the 4 Copa America games. So we have 20 games in all. And we won't go through that in detail. They used a lot of formations, actually. The ones they used the most, and that was only 4 out of 20 games, were a 3-4-3, a 4-2-3-1, and a 4-4-2 formation. All of those used 4 times. That's only 20% of the time. And then in the other 40%, they use 6 different formations. So really a variety of formations. So usually at this point, I advise the listener to think of the team in this, a 4-2-3-1 formation or a 3-4-3 formation or what have you. But that's difficult to do with Ecuador. Actually, it's almost a theme here. What we're going to see is a lot of shifting around of formations that you see here, and players shifting around in their positions too. But we do see a couple of patterns that we can point out. And the first one is the defense. They use a 2-man central defense in 70% of games and a 3-man central defense in 30% of the games. So about 1 in 3 games, we do see a 3-man central defense from Ecuador there. As far as the forward line goes, it's not that dissimilar. It's a single forward used in 65% of the games and a 2-man forward line used in 35% of the games. So again, about 2/3 of the games with a single forward and 2/3 with a 2-man forward line. But yes, there's no real discernible pattern that I can give you to envision the squad there. Let's move on to upcoming games. So we said they had some friendlies. Well, we won't cover the friendlies in October and November, actually. Let's go straight to the friendlies in March. Again, this is not really part of the media cast in part 1 here. It's more a matter for part 2, but why not tell you the scores anyway? They had a 1-1 draw with Morocco on March 27th. That was in Spain. And they also had a 1-1 draw in the Netherlands with Netherlands. So what we're expecting from Ecuador in this cup is very stingy, a very stingy defense. They can score goals too, but even the 1 goals they allowed here, they would find a bit disappointing. You're going to see they have fantastic defenders, so I think they'll be relying on defense more than offense, although they do have some attacking prowess. We have June 7th, the pre-tournament friendlies. I'll start that again. We have the pre-tournament friendlies in the tournament, and Ecuador playing both of their games in the USA. They're kind of acclimatizing themselves and what have you. The first one is May 30th, actually, and there they'll be playing Saudi Arabia. And then the second one will be against Guatemala both of those again in the USA. And Ecuador, maybe the South American teams in general, have a bit more experience playing in the USA, having played the Copa America there just less than a year ago. Okay, that's it for section 1. Let's move on to section 2 and the candidates. We've already mentioned the managers, but let's begin with them here. So the current manager is Sebastian Becachese. He's in orange because he just came onto our radar. Managers usually just come onto our radar when they are in a tournament for a national squad. And so becoming manager of Ecuador in 2024 is just that for Becachese. He's Argentinian, quite a young guy, actually, just about 45 years old, and has quite a long career in managing teams there. He has just coming off of Elche in Spain. I think that was his first overseas appointment. Usually he's been in South America. He is Argentinian, and so has really focused on Argentina teams. 3 times he has managed Defensa y Justicia. I'm sure I'm butchering the pronunciation, but it is a team in Argentina, and other teams, big ones in Argentina, Racing Club and Independiente in Argentina. He's also had some experience with the Argentina national team, manager of the under-20 national team, and also assistant manager of the Argentinian national team, both of those appointments in 2017 and 18. So is experienced in his way, but this is his first international tournament. He takes over from Felix Bas Sanchez. We won't go into detail on him, but again, he is a manager of some renown, associated with Qatar, preparing Qatar for the World Cup, actually for a long time, and part of the Aspire Academy there in Qatar, which was kind of done in conjunction with Barcelona. So Felix Sanchez, some associations with Barcelona there as well. So there we have it, a bit of a surprise. He was supposed to be there, I think, until 2030. He was supposed to be manager of Ecuador. So maybe there was some behind the scenes stuff going on, but to me it's a bit of a surprise that they got rid of him for that reason, losing to Argentina on penalties. Anyway, it's getting closer to the Cup now, so we would be a bit surprised if Becachese was released, but nevertheless, a new manager, they might want someone with more experience, so we'll consider him likely at this stage. There is time to change. We've seen teams do it before. Let's move on to goalkeepers, and we're going to begin by listing the candidates first, and then going back and giving information on the players, especially the ones likely to reach the Cup. So we have 2 definite candidates for goalkeeper. Hernan Galindez is the first, and Moises Ramirez. And then we have a likely candidate in Gonzalo Valle, a possible candidate in Christian Lure, and seemingly off the squad, David Cabezas, and sorry, David Cabezas is possible but unlikely. That's why I'm a little bit confused there. Seemingly off the squad, we have 2 candidates. Javier Bure, and then the veteran goalkeeper, Alexander Dominguez. So we'll also cover him in big players off the squad there. Let's go back, though, and look at the definite candidates. Both of their names is in black text, suggesting they have tournament experience. Hernan Galindez has been with Ecuador just since 2021 with 33 caps. He was very late to join Ecuador, actually. He's 39 years old now, so joined when he was about 35, around the age most players are retiring. But has had a good career with them. Currently, club-wise, he's with Huracan in Argentina since 2024 and has played in various South American countries. He was, though, born in Argentina there. His first tournament was the Copa America 2021. He started as a backup keeper there, but gained a starting position, and then was the starter in the World Cup in 2022, but not the starter in the 2024 Copa America. I believe Alexander Dominguez came back for that one. However, over the recent period, Hernan Galindez has been the starting keeper, starting 14 of the 16 games there on the bench for the two others. So Hernan Galindez, a definite candidate. Next, we have Moises Ramirez with Ecuador since 2021. Only 6 caps, though, for him. He's much younger, 26 years old, is with a team called Kafisia in Greece since 2025. I had never heard of Kafisia until they popped up for about 3 or 4 players as I was preparing for this media cast, and I found out that they're newly promoted into the Greek top league. Actually, not newly promoted, kind of bounced up and down, but they are in. So maybe they're buying players, buying some good players if they have Moises Ramirez here. And he played for the biggest team in Ecuador, Independiente del Valle. From 2018 to 2025. We'll see a lot of players have gone through Independiente del Valle. Tournament-wise, Moises Ramirez was not selected for the 2019 Copa America. He was on the roster. Seems to have been the 2019. I was thinking there's a Copa America in 2021, but there wasn't. Didn't make the preliminary squad, but he was selected for the 2022 World Cup and then the 2024 Copa America on the bench for both of those. On the bench over the recent period, too, didn't start any of the games, but he was on the bench for all 16 of them. So we do consider him a definite backup candidate here. And what we are looking at is selection for the squad. We'll think about starters in section 2. But anyway, Moises Ramirez, a definite candidate for selection, we think. Next, we have the likely candidate, Gonzalo Valle, new to Ecuador since 2025. That's why his name is in orange script. And has 2 caps for the national team, so basically played the 2 games that Hernan Galindez did not. Despite being new, though, Gonzalo Valle is 30 years old. So like Galindez, kind of late in joining the team, he plays for LDU Quito in Ecuador, maybe the second biggest team there since 2024. And he did appear on the bench for a single game back in 2022. And he came back in 2024 to start 2 of their remaining games, as we saw. He was on the bench for 8. Actually injured for the last 2 and not selected for 2 others over the period. So we consider him likely, largely because he started the 2 games rather than Moises Ramirez. So it seems like he is the second backup keeper and Moises Ramirez the third. Let's go to the possible candidate, Christian Lohr. He's just 20 years old and he has no caps for the national team, but he has a good club affiliation, Botafogo in Brazil, since 2025, and then Independiente del Valle, you guessed it, for a couple of years before that. Christian Lohr got his first appearance right at the end of the period here in November 2025. He was on the bench for both of those games, so he didn't see any field time. Christian Lohr. Next, we have David Cabezas. Cabezas. Oh my goodness, I should phone his family and apologize. He is 31 years old, but no caps for the national team, and he plays for Libertad in Paraguay since 2026. Another big team, El Nacional, in Ecuador from 2017 to 25, so for 8 years there. Cabezas, I'm going to go to school for this name. Cabezas. Got his first appearance on the bench in March of 2025, and was on the bench for the first 2 and then not selected for the last 8 there. So it doesn't look likely at all. Seemingly off the squad, Javier Buray. We add him to the list because we basically try to have everyone who's played for the team since 2024. So he's well off the team. He did get one cap in 2024, but that was at the beginning of the year, even before the Copa America, and last appeared in March of 2024 there. Finally, we have veteran Alexander Dominguez, and I won't go into detail, but he was a starter from the 2014 World Cup onwards. As we saw, he didn't actually start. Well, we didn't see this. He didn't actually start in the 2021 Copa America or the 2022 World Cup. He was on the bench for those tournaments, but came back and started all the games in the 2024 Copa America. However, that was the last time he appeared for the national team. So, again, we will talk about him in the big names off the squad category of Section 3. All right, let's move on to defenders. I'm having a little bit of trouble with my syntax today. We move on to central defenders. And actually, we don't. We're going to start with a couple of versatile defenders, but even before that, a phenomenally versatile player. And because he appears all over the team, I've just decided to introduce him all over the field. I've just decided to introduce him right at the beginning. It's Alan Franco, and he's a definite candidate. And incredibly, he is coded as a defensive midfielder. That may be one of the only positions he didn't play, that and goalkeeper. No, in truth, though, he did play as a right back, a right winger, a central midfielder, a central attacking midfielder, a right attacking midfielder, left attacking midfielder, and even as a co-forward. I've never seen anything quite like that. So Alan Franco started 15 of their games, so we can find him anywhere on the field. Let me introduce him a bit more. Alan Franco has been with Ecuador since 2018, 54 caps and 1 goal, and is 28 years old. He plays for Atlético Mineiro in Brazil. He has for the last 6 years, but he has been loaned out to teams in Argentina and in USA. And you'll never guess what his youth club is. It's Independiente del Valle there. And didn't make the Copa America in 2029. He was on the preliminary squad, didn't make it, and then was a substitute in the 2021 Copa America and the 2022 World Cup. He did gain a starting position in the first of those, though, but actually in both of those, he moved on to his starting position. In the recent Copa America, he started all 4 games, Alan Frank. And he also received a red card in the World Cup campaign for this tournament. But as I said, he started 15 of their 16 games there, one match that he wasn't selected for. So very versatile, and it looks like we're sure to see him on the field somewhere. In addition to him, we have a couple of players who I'm going to put as versatile defenders. They are coded with a position, but they only play their coded position about half of the time. The first one is Piero Incape. He's a definite candidate. He's coded as a central defender, but has been playing as a right back. The other one is Joel Ordonez, and he is coded as a central defender also, and he has been playing as a right back. And I've just realized I made a mistake, because what I should have been saying for Piero Incape is left back. There's a problem with me today. Okay, left back for Piero Incape. In fact, he played as a left back, and then moved to being a left central defender when they used a 3-man back line. Then he was just a full-on central defender, and towards the end moved out to the left again, basically sharing the position with a big player, Estupinan, there, and sometimes they were on the field together. Anyway, Piero Incape, coded as a central defender, but think of him as a central defender / left back. He has been with Ecuador since 2021, has amassed 50 caps and 2 goals, and is just 24 years old. Nkape plays for Bayer Leverkusen in Germany since 2021, but he was recently loaned to Arsenal in England since 2025. Prior to that, he played for various teams in South America, in Argentina, but also with Independiente del Valle in Ecuador. 2021 Copa America. There was a Copa America in 2021. Sorry, I'm thinking of it as a competition every 4 years, but the truth is, since 2015, it's been very kind of muddled. So I'll just clarify here. 2016 and 2024, both of those were in the States. There were competitions in 2016, 2019, 2021, and 2024. After that, it will be every 4 years. So I got a little bit confused earlier. Anyway, Nkape's first tournament in the 2021 Copa America was a starter, and in the World Cup afterwards there, and in the Copa America recently in 2024, he was responsible for an incredible opening goal against Jamaica. I recommend looking at that on YouTube there. Over the recent period, Nkape has started 13 of their 16 games, and he was injured for 2 and suspended on reds for 1 other. So a starter as well as a definite candidate to reach the squad, and as we saw, a centre-back and a left-back over this period. Centre-back Joel Ordonez was also a right-back over this period. He has been with Ecuador just since 2023, but has 14 caps now and is 20 years old, so very young. Playing for Club Brugge in Belgium since 2023, and his youth club was Independiente del Valle, and also his first senior club there. So 2024 Copa America, his first tournament, and he was on the bench for all 4 games there, just a substitute. However, he has become a starter, starting the last 12 of their 16 games there, on the bench for 3 and not selected for 1 other. That was the first match. So really kind of strongly coming into the squad, Joel Ordonez. And I want you to keep their all 3 of those players, their name in mind: Alan Franco, Piero Nkape, and Joel Ordonez, as we talk about the other positions that they played in. So Ordonez and Nkape did play a role in central defence here. Nevertheless, we have 2 definite candidates here as well. The first one is William Pacho. And then we have Felix Torres, both of those at the definite level. Some possible candidates, 2 of them Xavier Arriaga. So that means we have no candidates at the likely level, by the way. And the other possible candidate, Leonardo Rialpe. And 2, no, make that 3 seemingly off the squad. Robert Arboleda, Andres Micolta, and Jackson Perozo. Oh, let's go back and look at the definite candidates. William Pacho, and been with Ecuador since 2023, but already 31 caps and 2 goals. He is just 24 years old and plays for Paris Saint-Germain in France since 2024, and Eintracht Frankfurt in Germany before that. Independiente del Valle is his first club. Pacho was on the squad for the World Cup, just on the bench there, but he started and finished all 4 games in the Copa America 2024, and he started impressively all 16 games over the recent period. So William Pacho, a definite candidate. And the other definite candidate, Felix Torres, with Corinthians in Brazil. No, sorry. The reason I started with that is just because I'm going to point out the club affiliations of these players. We've already seen Bayer Leverkusen and Paris Saint-Germain, and then a couple of big Brazilian teams as well. So really solid players here. On with Felix Torres, though. He's been with Ecuador since 2019. 45 caps and 5 goals, and 29 years old. Corinthians in Brazil as his club, or at least on their roster, because he was loaned to another big club in Brazil, Internacional, since 2026. And he has also played in Mexico with Santos Laguna. Felix Torres, his first tournament was the 2021 Copa America. He was on the bench for that, but a starter in the 2022 World Cup, made 2 tremendous assists in that tournament, and a starter also in the 2024 Copa America. Again, some outstanding tackles there from Felix Torres. However, he has been less of a starter over the period. Perhaps it is because of the really high quality defenders he's competing against here. But he was a starter in the Copa America, as I mentioned, but only started 5 of their 16 games over this period. But he was subbed in for 4 and on the bench for 6. That includes the last 5 matches. So there was only 1 match that he was not called up for. So Felix Torres still very much in the squad, just not as much a starter as he used to be. The first of 2 possible candidates is Xavier Arriaga, and he's been with Ecuador since 2018. 20 caps and 1 goal, and he is 22 years old. If you thought I was going to say he was with Barcelona, well, you're right, but that's the Barcelona in Ecuador. There's a club called Barcelona SC, one of their bigger clubs, actually. And that's the club he's with, actually, his second stint with them since 2025. But he has played for a couple of teams, bigger teams in the USA, New England Revolution and Seattle Sounders. And has part of every tournament up until the 2024 Copa America, at least. He was part of the 2019 and 2021 editions, and also on the World Cup squad in 2022. However, he didn't see any action in any of those tournaments, and then was not selected for the 2024 Copa America. Xavier Arriaga returned after a 16-month absence in September of 2024, didn't start any games there either, but was on the bench for 8 of them, and then not selected for 8 others, including the last 2 matches. So definitely a sideline player there. I'm trying to figure out where he did get his 20 caps there. Not in tournaments, not in the recent period either. But Xavier Arriaga, a possible candidate. The other possible candidate is Leonardo Realpe, or Leo Realpe, he's sometimes called. He is playing with Famalicão in Portugal since 2025, and was with Red Bull Bragantino in Brazil for 5 years before that. Independiente del Valle, part of his history too. He was, I said, with the team since 2023, but he was off for almost 2 years, 20 months, until he returned in November 2025, Leonardo Realpe, and didn't start either of the 2 games there, but he was on the bench for both. So we're never really sure what to think of players who come in right at the end there, but we put them at the possible level usually. So that's where we have Leonardo Realpe. Let's go through the 3 seemingly off the squad players quite quickly. Robert Arboleda has been part of actually many tournaments since the 2016 Copa America Centenario, all the way up until the World Cup in 2022, but not selected, actually left out on disciplinary grounds there. He then last appeared in March of 2024, so he made someone angry. I'm not really sure what it's about, but at his age, 35, I'd be surprised if he made it back into the squad there, Robert Arboleda. Next, we have Andres Micolta, just 1 cap for the national team, and last appeared on the bench in the 2024 Copa America, which he was selected for. And finally, Jackson Porozo, Jackson Peroso, part of the World Cup 2022 squad and on the roster for the last Copa America as well, but last appeared in that tournament there. Jackson Peroso. Okay, on we go to left back. So a lot of candidates there. Keep in mind they sometimes do use a three-man defense, and the two players we saw, Incape and Ordonez, might be part of that defense as well. On to right backs, where our main candidate here is Purvis Estupinan. But again, Piero Incape playing about half of the games, and in fact, sometimes they appear on the field together. I won't go into detail though. Purvis Estupinan, definite candidate. Yaimar Medina, a possible candidate here, and so Sorino, a likely candidate. Also likely is Christian Ramirez. And then we have a possible candidate in Joanna Chavez. And a couple of seemingly off the squad players, Annabelle Chala and Leanne Lohr. Let's go back to the definite candidate, Purvis Estupinan. And another great club affiliation here, but he's been with Ecuador since 2019 with 50 caps and 4 goals and is 28 years old. AC Milan is the team he is with. He was with Brighton in England there, and Villarreal in Spain too. So a pretty good resume for him. Tournament-wise, I came to know him in the 2021 Copa America, where I thought he was excellent and got validation on that opinion when he was named to the team of the tournament. That probably started his good, or the interest of big clubs in him there. The World Cup in 2022, he was also a starter. However, he was not part of the 2024 Copa America there. He was a definite candidate coming in, but had to pull out due to injury. Actually, out for 6 months there from the national team, but came back in September 2024 and started 12 of their 16 games, injured for 2 and not selected for the last 2 matches. Normally, that would make us wonder if they're drifting off the squad. We don't think that way with Purvis Estupinan, because we think they would definitely select him for the squad. Okay, next we have Yaimar Medina, and he's been with Ecuador since 2025. His name is in orange, so he's new on our radar. 4 caps for the national team, and he's 22 years old. Was playing for, or is currently with Genk in Belgium since 2025, and the ubiquitous Independiente del Valle prior to that. Medina got his first cap right after the right after the Copa America in September 2024. Started one of the remaining 6 games, but was subbed in for 3 and on the bench for 7. And the 5 matches that he was not selected for were all in 2024. So he's being called up consistently recently, Yaimar Medina. Next, we have Christian Ramirez, also at the likely level, with Ecuador since 2013, with 22 caps and 1 goal, and is 32 years old. He plays for Lokomotiv Moscow in Russia. He's had a pretty interesting club career there. A couple of times he's been with Ferencvárosi in Hungary, and a couple of teams in Russia. The other one was Krasnodar there, also played in Germany too. Okay, and believe it or not, he did not play for Independiente del Valle there. Sorry, I just see a mistake in the script that I wanted to correct. Okay, so in terms of tournaments, he was on the preliminary squad for the World Cup in 2024, Christian Ramirez, but didn't make the final cut. He was on the Copa America 2016 and 2019 squads. The latter was his last appearance, actually, in a tournament and on the team. Until he returned after a more than 5-year absence in October 2024. Didn't start any games, but was subbed in for 1 and on the bench for 11. So just 2 matches that he was not selected for. So Christian Ramirez coming in out of the cold, but coming into regular selection, and we have him as a likely candidate here. Next, we have Joanner Chavez. He's been with Ecuador since 2022, just 7 caps, though. He's 24 years old. Plays for Lens in France, but actually is on loan to Sparta Prague in the Czech Republic since 2026. Really had a tough year due to injuries. Joanner Chavez seems to be getting over them now. I'll just finish the biography and then talk about that. He hasn't been involved in any tournaments there, despite being on the team since 2022. He doesn't seem to be much of a consideration for the 2024 Copa America. He did return after almost a year absence right after the Cup in 2024, September 2024, and didn't start any games, but was subbed in for 4 and on the bench for 4. Injured for 6, and those will be in 2025 here, and not selected for the last 2 matches. So basically, he was out from August 2025 for his club with an ankle sprain, and he did recover, but didn't see any field time for his club. That's why he was available in November, but not selected. Then in early December, he had an issue with a dead leg, and he was out for a while with that, and out for 5 weeks after it with just fitness given as a reason. That's a very long recovery period. However, he should return from that sometime in April of 2026. So Joanner Chavez injury might... well, no, it looks like he's recovering from an injury there, but he does seem a bit injury prone. But we have him as a possible candidate here. We then move down to 2 seemingly off the squad players. The first one, Anibal Chala, and he doesn't have any tournament experience. Last appeared in March of 2024. And then we have Leanne Loor, who actually was selected for the Copa America in 2024, just on the bench there, and that was his last appearance for the squad. So we'll talk about them more if they're named to the final squad, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Let's move over to the right side, and I see I've put all the players in the wrong category there, so let's just move them out. Anyone just glancing at this video is going to be quite confused, but if you're following along, we've just finished the left backs and we're moving on to the right backs, where we have a definite candidate in Angelo Preciado. Keep in mind that actually both Alan Franco and Joel Ordonez, who we introduced at the beginning, have played quite a few games in this position. And so our next candidates are all at the seemingly off the squad level. The first one is Byron Castillo, and there's a story to him. And then we have Jose Andre Hurtado. So the only character we really have to introduce here is the definite candidate, Angelo Preciado, and been with Ecuador since 2018 with 51 caps and no goals. He's 28 years old, and also with a good club, Atlético Mineiro, one of the bigger clubs in Brazil there since 2026. He was with 2 clubs we've seen other players on here, Sparta Prague in Czech Republic and Genk in Belgium. And then with Independiente del Valle, actually 2 stints with them for him. Tournament-wise, he was on the preliminary squad for the 2019 Copa America. Didn't make the final cut there, but then was a starter in the 2021 edition and in the 2022 World Cup. Started all games there, as well as the 2024 Copa America recently. However, over the recent period, he started less than half of the games, 7 of them. He was subbed in for 2 and on the bench for the last 2, injured for 4. So that doesn't account for all of the games that he missed, and not selected for 1 of them. So not as much a starter as all that, but it's all a bit confusing because sometimes 2 of them with Franco and Ordonez are on the field, and sometimes I've seen all 3 of them on the right side of the pitch. So as I say, players shifting around a lot. Nevertheless, we consider Preciado a definite candidate. And we'll take a quick look at the 2 seemingly off the squad players. Byron Castillo is not a big player for the squad. He's never been in a tournament. He's well known though because he was the player who was. It's a very long and complex story. Ultimately, Ecuador had 3 points deducted for him because it wasn't clear whether he was eligible to play for Mexico, and in the process, he lied. I think he lied about his age or lied about his birthplace or something. They eventually let him play for Ecuador, although he hasn't after that. Yeah, so I'm not sure why he's on the list here because 2022 was the last time he appeared. Maybe I put him here because he kind of features in the narrative. He was the reason why they were deducted 3 points in World Cup qualifying for this tournament, which they overcame admirably. The other player we do have here is Jose Hurtado, or Jose Andre Hurtado, and he last appeared in the Copa America in 2024. On we go to the midfield then. We begin with defensive midfielders, and we begin with a player with another big club affiliation. It is defensive midfielder Moises Caicedo at the definite level. And then at the possible level, we have Jordi Alcivar. And then, possible but unlikely, Jegson Mendez. And seemingly off the squad, 3 players here: Jose Cifuentes, Carlos Gruezo, I should say, and then João Ortiz. So let's take a look at Moises Caicedo. And once again, I want to point out the impressive club affiliations that quite a few of the Ecuadorians have here. He is with Chelsea in England since 2023, Brighton in England before that, and Independiente del Valle as his first senior club and youth club. Moises Caicedo was a starter in the 2021 Copa America and in the 2 tournaments after, the 2022 World Cup and 2024 Copa America. Of course, a starter there. And started 12 of their 16 games over the period. He was suspended on yellows for 1 and not selected for 3 others. We don't think much of that. Sometimes, there may be family things or the player requesting a rest if it's not an important game, especially for big players like this. So we don't view it as really questionable if they have a couple of games where they're not selected, not called up. So Moises Caicedo, a definite candidate. None at the likely level, so we go down to our possible candidate, but I should remind you that Alan Franco does appear here too, so sometimes you'll see him as part of the midfield lineup. Jordi Alcivar is a possible candidate. Just 7 caps and 1 goal for Ecuador, despite having been on the team since 2021. And he's 27 years old. He's currently actually with Independiente del Valle since 2022. But he has been with teams in other countries, Leon in Mexico and Charlotte FC in USA. Alcivar doesn't have any tournament experience, was actually off the team at the time of the last Copa America. But he returned after a 2-year absence in September 2025 and started 3 of their remaining 6 games there. Subbed in for 2 and was on the bench for the 1 other. So really, we would have him as a likely candidate given that recent participation. But he has been on the fringes of the squad until his career before that. So we boiled it down to a possible there. Jackson Mendez is possible but unlikely at this point. He has 38 caps for the national team and is 29 years old and has been part of many tournaments, even a starter in the 2021 Copa America and in the 2022 World Cup, but not selected for the Copa America in 2024. Did return after an 18-month absence after that tournament in September of 2024, directly after the Copa America there. Started 1 of their games, subbed in for 1 and was on the bench for 3, but not selected for 11 of the 16 games, including the last 7 matches. So Jackson Mendez at once a kind of a big name for the squad, but possible but unlikely at this point. Jose Cifuentes is next. He is seemingly off the squad, having last appeared in the 2024 Copa America. He was just on the bench there. Carlos Gruezo is a veteran for Ecuador with 64 caps since 2014, and he's actually only 31 years old, has been part of many tournaments since the 2014 World Cup. In fact, the only one he missed was the 2015 Copa America there. And even after the Copa America, he was still on the squad in 2024, but November 2024, the last time Carlos Gruezo played for the national team. Finally, João Ortiz was part of the 2024 Copa America squad, but not called up after that. All right, those are players coded as defensive midfielders. We'll almost always see Moises Caicedo and Alan Frank. Another player we're seeing more and more is the first of our central midfielders, and he's at the definite level, Pedro Vite there. And then at the likely level, we have Daniel Castillo and then Darwin Guagua. Darwin Guagua's only start really was as a left attacking midfielder, but we'll leave him here because he's coded as a central midfielder. He only played 1 game there. Let's go to Pedro Vite then, the definite candidate, actually coded as attacking midfielder, but definitely played as a central midfielder during this period, more as a defensive midfielder even. Pedro Vite, then we've moved to central midfield here. He's been with Ecuador since 2023, but has earned 14 caps and 1 goal and is 24 years old. He's with UNAM Pumas in Mexico since 2025, but was actually for 4 years in Canada, right here in Canada. I say right here in Canada, but actually Vancouver is 1,300 kilometers from where I live. Canada's a big country. Vancouver Whitecaps in Canada then, and Independiente del Val before that. He was off the team for a while. He returned after a 15-month absence in September 2024, and then started 12 of their 15 games. Subbed in for 1, on the bench for 1, and then just 1 match that he was not selected for. So what a comeback by Pedro Vite. He looks like a definite candidate here. At the likely level, we have Daniel Castillo. He plays for I'll give you his numbers first. Been with Ecuador since 2025 with 4 caps and no goals and is 22 years old. Castillo plays for Midtjylland in Denmark since 2024 and Shakhtar Donetsk in the Ukraine before that. He appeared for a single game in June of 2024. That must have been a pre-tournament friendly for the Copa America there. But then was off the team and came back 9 months later in 2025 and didn't start any games, but was subbed in for 4 and on the bench for 5 of the 10 games. So just one match that he wasn't selected for in 2025 there. So we have to put Daniel Castillo as a likely candidate. Finally, Darwin Guagua with Ecuador since 2025. One cap. He's 19 years old and he plays for Independiente del Valle in Ecuador since 2025 and their youth club for 7 years before that. Guagua got his first appearance on the bench in 2025, started one of their remaining 10 games, as I said, as a left attacking midfielder there, was on the bench for 2, injured for the last 2 matches and not selected for 4 others. So just making it, we would say, into the possible category here. He has recovered from his injury. And if he doesn't make this cup, he may be a candidate for the future. Those are the central midfielders. We have no players coded as left and right midfielders, so we're done with kind of the central midfield and we move up to the attacking midfield. This is quite tricky because players move around quite a bit, so what they're coded as is not necessarily what they'll play as. Many of them shift between 2 and 3 different positions up here. So we have moved players around a bit, kind of for the narrative, you know, to introduce them in a sensible way. But the truth is, it's a bit chaotic up here with the shifting around, and we saw really big shifts in their formations as well. So maybe they're doing it to confuse the opposition. We're going to begin with Kendry Paez. Actually coded as a right attacking midfielder. Over this period, he has played as a left attacking midfielder and a central attacking midfielder, both. He is very young. Sorry, I'm in the wrong place here. Left attackers. He is just 18 years old, Kendry Paez, but already has 22 caps and 2 goals for the national team. He's been with them since 2023. Kendry Paez is with Chelsea in England, so another big club affiliation since 2025. He's been loaned out, though, to River Plate in Argentina since 2026, and a club Chelsea has an association with in France, Strasbourg, prior to that, and he came up through Independiente del Valle. I wish I had an acronym for that because it's a lot of syllables to say every time. Okay, Kendry Paez, part of the Copa America squad in 2024. That was his first tournament. Started all 4 games in that tournament, but only started 4 of their 16 games over this period. However, he was subbed in for 5 and on the bench for 5, so consistently called up Kendry Paez, and we think he's definite to make the squad here. Next, we have likely candidate Nilson Angulo. Oh, sorry, I didn't list the players. So Kendry Paez is a definite candidate. At the likely level, we have Nilson Angulo and we have Alan Minda. Both of those not coded as left attackers. The third likely candidate, John Mercado, actually is. And then we have Jana Carozzo at the seemingly off the, no, possible but unlikely level. And Jeremy Sarmiento, seemingly off the squad, despite being quite young. Okay, let's, well, we've done Kendry Paez. Let's go back to the first of the 3 likely candidates. Nilson Angulo, coded as a forward but moved to the left attacking midfielder because he played here and also as a right attacking midfielder. He's been with Ecuador since 2021 with 11 caps and 1 goal, and he's 23 years old. Nilson Agulo is with Sunderland in England since 2026 and Anderlecht in Belgium prior to that. Sunderland playing in the Premier League this year. So that's a good move for him. I think it was in January. And actually, this is a good opportunity to say that even though our research for the national team only goes up to the end of 2025, information for injuries and club changes goes beyond that. It goes until about the middle of March of 2026 for part one, and then in part two, it'll be right up till the cup. Okay, so that is Nilson Angulo with Sunderland in England. I think I forgot to say his recent participation. So Angulo returned after a year and a half absence just before the 2024 Copa America for an appearance, I think, in the warm-up games there, but then disappeared for another year and came back in June of 2025, from which point he started 6 of the remaining 8 games and subbed in for the other 2. So Nilson Angulo, a likely candidate here. Next, we have Alan Minda with Ecuador since 2024, 18 caps and 2 goals for the 23-year-old. I think the third player we've seen with Atletico Mineiro in Brazil. He's been with them just since 2026. He was with not Club Brugge, but Circle Brugge in Belgium from 2023 to 26. And once again, we have Independiente Del Valle as part of Alan Minda's club history. He was part of the 2024 Copa America squad, subbed into all 4 games there. And over the recent period, Alan Minda started 5 of their 16 games, as well as subbing in for 5. He was on the bench for 2, and then the other 4 games he missed due to injury. So we can almost have him as a definite candidate. I mean, we don't because he's a sub, so not fully integrated into the squad, I would say. Finally, at the likely level, we have John Mercado, and he's been with Ecuador since 2024 with 6 caps and is 24 years old. I think it's the third player we've seen there with Sparta Prague in the Czech Republic since 2025, and with AVS in Portugal before that. John Mercado got his first cap in 2024. I think that was in September 2024, so right after the Copa America there, and started one of the remaining 16 games, subbed in for 5 and on the bench for 6. So just 4 matches that John Mercado was not selected for. So all 3 of those players getting fairly consistent call-ups with the team over the past little while. We go down to possible but unlikely candidate Jana Carozzo. And he, well, we won't go into too much detail on him. He was part of the 2024 Copa America squad and started 1 game after that, subbed in for 1 on the bench for 1, but not selected for 13 of the matches. That includes the last 8. So Jana Carozzo, possible but unlikely. Surprising to me is Jeremy Sarmiento. I will go into a bit of detail on him because I really would be surprised if he comes back into the squad. He has been with Ecuador since 2021. And even though he's 24 years old, he has, as I say, been with them since 2021 with 24 caps and 2 goals. That's quite impressive for a young player. And he, I think, is the third player to play for Brighton. Brighton in England since 2021. He's been loaned out quite a bit since then, though. Currently loaned out to Middlesbrough in England, but also several other teams in England and 1 in Italy. He was born in Spain and actually played for England underage teams, so I think he was eligible for all of those. But he threw his lot in with Ecuador and was part of the World Cup squad as a substitute, and then part of the Copa America squad as a starter, but for some reason, his last game was in November of 2024, and I'm not sure what that reason is. But as I say, he's just 24 years old and has had a bright career with Ecuador and club-wise up until now. So I really don't know why he's off the squad, and wouldn't be surprised to see him return Jeremy Sarmiento. So I usually don't go into detail on players off the squad there, but a special case there. Okay, we're going to move on to right attackers. Over here, we have a definite candidate in John Yeboah. And we have Gonzalo Plata at the likely level here. And just one more candidate, and he's at the possible level. It is Brian Ramirez. So let's take a look at these players. John Yeboah, since 2024 with Ecuador, with 19 caps and 2 goals. He is 25 years old, 26 years old, actually. With Venezia in Italy since 2024, and he's played in various countries, Poland, a couple of teams, and Germany, several teams. Actually, John Yeboah was born in Germany and played for their underage teams. And was part of the Copa America 2024 squad, starting games 1 and 2 there, but actually lost his starting position after that. John Yeboah, over the recent period, started 7 of the 16 games, but he also subbed in for 6 and was on the bench for 2. So the only match he missed was due to injury. So John Yeboah, a definite candidate here. At the likely level, Gonzalo Plata, and he's with Ecuador since 2019, 47 caps and 8 goals, but just 26 years old now. With Flamengo in Brazil since 2024. He really has traveled a bit. Al Sadd in Qatar, and teams in Spain and Portugal, good ones too. Sporting Lisbon in Portugal there, and of course Independiente del Valle in Ecuador. Gonzalo Plata was part of the 2021 Copa America squad. Started game 1 and lost his starting position there, but started all 3 games in the World Cup in 2022. However, he was not selected for the Copa America in 2024. Had been playing on the squad in the build-up to the Cup, but not selected, and returned fairly shortly after in October 2024 and started 8 of the remaining 14 games, keeping in mind, though, that it was a new manager, so maybe just not favoured by Felix Sanchez there, but favoured by the new manager. Started 8 of the 14 games, subbed in for 2, injured for 2, and not selected for 2, Gonzalo Plata. And finally, we have Brian Ramirez at the possible level. No caps for Ecuador for the 26-year-old. And got his first appearance on the bench in June of 2024. Didn't start any games, but was on the bench for 4 and not selected for 4, including the last 2 matches. And I think I forgot to mention his club, a recent change actually from LDU Quito in Ecuador to FC Cincinnati in the USA since 2026. So perhaps playing in the USA will give him an advantage in being selected for this tournament. All right, that's it for right attacking midfielders. We have just central attacking midfielders. It's actually a position they don't use that much. We saw a couple of their formations, a 3-4-3 and a 4-4-2. And if you envision that formation, there could be central attackers there, but what they usually is central midfielders, unless it's someone like Alan Franco, who basically plays in any position, and he did play in this position. We did have Pedro Vite, who's coded in this position, but we moved him to the central midfield. And we are left with just one candidate here. It's Patrick Mercado. Patrick Mercado is at the possible level here, and with Ecuador since 2025, 3 caps and no goals, and he's 23 years old, and he's with Independiente del Valle in Ecuador since 2022. Mercado got his first appearance on the bench in March of 2025. Didn't start any games, so it was subbed in for 3 and on the bench for 3, and then not selected for 3 others. So Patrick Mercado, a possible candidate. That is it for the midfield, and so we move on to forwards here, and we begin with Enner Valencia. What a huge resume he has. He's a definite candidate here. Enner Valencia. And we have another definite candidate in Kevin Rodriguez. Then we go down to the possible level, where we have 2 candidates, Leonardo Campagna and Jeremy Arevalo. And finally, at the seemingly off the squad level, we have Jordi Caicedo. So let's go back and look at perhaps their biggest player, captain of the team, Enner Valencia. He's been with Ecuador since 2012, 102 caps and an impressive 48 goals, and is not as old as one might think. He's 36 years old, which is kind of old for a soccer player, but he seems like he's been around forever. Club-wise, though, it's always been a little bit odd. He's never really been with a huge club. Pachuco in Mexico is his current club, actually his second stint with them. Internacional in Brazil, Fenerbahce in Turkey, and Tigres in Mexico. But as far as Europe goes, West Ham in England and Everton in England there. He's been part of tournaments since the 2024 World Cup and has been quite impressive in them. Every tournament all the way up to the 2024 Copa America here. He's been captain of the team since the 2022 World Cup. And we could go into great detail on him, but we don't want to. Even in qualification for this cup, he was their top scorer with 6 of their 14 goals. And over the recent period, started 13 of their 16 games, subbed in for 1, injured for 1, and not selected for 1 other. That was the last match. So doesn't seem to be slowing down at all at 36 years old. And Enner Valencia, a definite candidate. The other definite candidate is not so much a starter, Kevin Rodriguez. He has been with Ecuador since 2022, 29 caps for him, but only 2 goals in that time. He's 26 years old and playing for Union Saint-Gilloise in Belgium since 2023. I'm always giggling because I look over to the right and I see Independiente del Valle once again, part of his club career. Was selected Kevin Rodriguez for the 2022 World Cup, just subbed briefly into 2 games there, and also a sub in the 2024 Copa America, although he did see a bit more game time there, subbing in earlier. He started 3 of their 16 games over the period, but he subbed in for 9 and was on the bench for 3. And the only match Kevin Rodriguez missed was due to injury. So a definite candidate there. We have none at the likely level, so we go on to the possible. Leonardo Campagna, with Ecuador since 2019. Despite being a forward, he, like Kevin Rodriguez, does not have a great scoring record, just 1 goal in 19 caps there. And he is 26 years old. Plays for New England Revolution in the USA. Inter Miami before that, and Wolverhampton in England prior to that. So pretty good club affiliations for Leonardo Campagna. Was part of the 2021 Copa America, but that was the only tournament he took part in. Hasn't been selected for the last two. Has been kind of in and out of the squad. He came back in October of 2024 after an 11-month absence. Started one of their 14 games, subbed in for four and on the bench for three. And then the only other absences were due to injury. That was 6 games, though. So Leonardo Campagna, perhaps with his club affiliation, should be more than a possible candidate, but his participation suggests possible. Jeremy Arevalo has been with Ecuador since 2025. One cap for him, he's 21 years old, plays for Stuttgart in Germany and Racing Santander in Spain for 3 years before that. Arevalo was born in Spain. He got his first cap in November 2025 and didn't start either of the games, so came in right at the end. Didn't start either one, but was subbed in for one and on the bench for one. So Jeremy Arevalo, a late bid to the team here. Players like this, it might help us to see if they're called up for the March games. So we'll pay attention to that in part two. Finally, we have Jordi Caicedo, seemingly off the squad here. He was part of the 2021 and the 2024 Copa Americas, but has not appeared since the 2024 edition there. Wow, that brings us to the end of our look at the players of part two. A lot of interesting players there for Ecuador. We're going to move on to section 3 and review those names. We threw out a lot of names, so it would be nice to put them all together there. And we are doing that also for the short version of the mediacast for people who just want the brass tacks there. And then we have a few other orders of business to follow. But let's do the review. We begin with manager Sebastian sorry, I keep forgetting how to pronounce his name. Sebastian Becachese is their current manager, came in after the 2024 Copa America. I guess they were not happy with the result there, even though they took Argentina to penalties in the quarterfinals, and I wouldn't blame them for losing that game. But Felix Sanchez was the manager, and it cost him his job. So Sebastian Becachese in. Goalkeepers, we have two definite candidates here, Hernan Galindez and Moises Ramirez. A likely candidate in Gonzalo Valle, and a possible candidate in Christian Lohr. We're not going to actually mention the candidates at the possible but unlikely or seemingly off the squad level. It just kind of confuses things, really, and they probably won't get selected. However, if you are watching the YouTube feed, you can look at those names. Let's go on to defenders. Well, we kind of recategorized a little bit for Ecuador because their players move around the field so much. Basically, Alan Franco has played virtually every position, so we made a brand new category for him called Versatile Player. He's a definite candidate and may be found anywhere on the field. And then we have two versatile defenders, coded as central defenders, but they also play as right or left backs. We covered that in section 2. So the definite candidates there are Piero Incape and Joel Ordonez. So keep an eye out for Franco, Incape, and Ordonez, as they may not be playing in their coded positions. Now we go to players coded as and playing as central defenders. Two definite candidates, William Pacho and Felix Torres. None at the likely level, but two at the possible level, Javier Arriaga and Leonardo Rialpe. And we'll go to left backs next, and we have a definite candidate in Purvis Estupinian. And two likely candidates, Yamar Medina and Christian Ramirez, and a possible candidate in Joanna Chavez. For right backs, we have a definite candidate in Angelo Preciado, and that's all we have over here at the possible level or above. But I should say we do have some of the players that we mentioned as versatile players earlier on. Moving on to the midfield, we have a definite candidate in Moises Caicedo. No candidates at the likely level, but a possible candidate in Jordi Alcivar. Central midfielders, definite candidate Pedro Vite, and likely candidate Daniel Castillo, and Darwin Gagua is a possible candidate here. Up we go to attacking midfielders. We've moved players around a bit. I won't get into the reasoning, but we did our best. We've put Kendry Paez as a definite candidate on the left side here, even though he's coded as a right attacking midfielder. Three likely candidates, forward Nilson Angulo, right attacker Alan Minda, and left attacking midfield where he belongs, John Mercado. Over to the players who have been playing on the right, we have a definite candidate, John Yeboah, and the likely candidate, Gonzalo Plata, and possible candidate, Brian Ramirez. Central attackers, usually it's central midfielders playing this role, or it could be players like Paez or Plata or who's the other one I see there a lot? Anyway, Paez or Plata. The only candidate coded here is Patrick Mercado, and he's at the possible level. Let's finish with forwards. A definite candidate in Enner Valencia. He's captain of the team. And also Kevin Rodriguez, more of a substitute, but a definite candidate. None at the likely level. And finally, two at the possible level, Leonardo Campagna and Jeremy Aravallo. All right, that is our race through the squad. Let's move on to big names off the squad. We have a few to talk about. I just got to find my spot here. There I am. We begin with goalkeeper Alexander Dominguez. We won't go into a long history. We'll just try to give the vital facts. He's actually 39 years old now. He was captain of the team and with Ecuador since 2011 with 77 caps. Needless to say that all of these players have been involved in the tournaments that Ecuador has been involved with over the time, so I don't need to go through them. I'll just say that the last time Alexander Dominguez appeared was as a starter in the 2024 Copa America there. So goalkeeper Alexander Dominguez, one of the players off the squad. Next we have Carlos Gruezo. Actually always a bit on the fringes of the team, never really a starter in tournaments, but he's been around since 2014 with 64 caps. He's actually just 31 years old, but last appeared in November 2024, Carlos Gruezo. Angel Mena is the next one, also a veteran with 61 caps and 7 goals. With the team since 2015, but is now 38 years old. So he joined the team a bit late. And again, part of tournaments. Again, not so much a starter for him. But he last appeared in November of 2024, even though he did score a goal for this World Cup qualifying campaign. So both he and Gruezo off in November 2024. I'm going to put manager Felix Sanchez on the list here again. I know I may not know all the details, but it seems a bit harsh to me that he was basically hired in 2023 with the hope of staying for a long time. and then he got fired after they lost in the quarterfinals on penalties to Argentina. I mean, I don't think that's a huge crime. Anyway, Felix Sanchez, it cost him his job. So he's a big name off the squad. I do consider him a fairly big manager there, especially with his association with Qatar and the Aspire Academy. Finally, I'm going to put Jeremy Sarmiento on the list for several reasons he shouldn't be here. He's only 24 years old. He has only 24 caps, which is actually impressive for his age. And he was on the team since 2021. He was a starter in the Copa America, but then suddenly looked to have a very promising career with Ecuador. But then from November 2024, he was not called up. And I'm going to try to look into that and get a bit more information. But again, I just want to kind of note that he's off the squad. I said in section 2, though, that I wouldn't be surprised if he came back into the team there. So he's not aged out or anything. Let's go on to injuries. And we have a few to contend with. First one is likely candidate and forward Nilson Angulo. And he's out with a muscle injury from mid-March and an unknown return date. We're hoping to be updating these, hoping to update these in part 2. But for now, an unknown. Next, we have Leonardo Campagna. He is a forward at the possible level. He has been out with a hamstring injury since late March and an unknown return date. So that's a pretty recent injury. Hopefully we can update it in part 2. We'll put him in the unknown category. Have I got the hiccups? Oh no. Finally, we have Johanna Chavez. A bit of a narrative on this one. Had one problem after another that kept him out for most of the season since August of 2025. First, it was an ankle sprain. He did recover, but didn't see any field time for his club. And before he saw a blade of grass, he was injured again in early December with a dead leg. And then he was covering from that. But for 5 weeks in February and March, he was listed as out for fitness. I'm using air quotes there. That's what it said on the injury page. That does seem a long time to be recovering or gaining fitness. So not dead sure what it means. However, he should return from that soon. So we're expecting him back in April 2026. So Johanna Chavez. We'll put him in the expected back category. That's it, and let's move on to closing thoughts. Well, as I was preparing this, and even as I was doing it, I'm very impressed with some of the club affiliations that that Ecuador has, especially in the defensive end of the field, and their defense actually looks quite awesome. And I see, in friendlies and in World Cup qualifying, they were very stingy in defense, didn't give up many goals there. So I'm not sure people are aware that they have the quality of club affiliations that they have. But it's obviously what earned them second place in, was it third place? Anyway, a high position in the qualifying campaign, despite a 3-point penalty. So I think Ecuador may come in a little bit as dark horses, people thinking that they don't have as much quality as they do. I'm looking forward to see how they do. Okay, that's Ecuador. We're going to move on to I should have had the closing thought graphic. There it is. Now we're moving on to the graphic for previewing part 2, which we will release when the final squad release. We may or may not get a preliminary squad with that. We will point out any surprises, any notable non-selections that may be are definite or likely candidates here who don't make it, any unexpected inclusions, so possible but unlikely or seemingly off the squad candidates that do make it, and any new players. There's always a few new players on the squad, which we'll introduce to you. We're going to update the injuries we told you about today and any new injuries that happen between now and then. And in part two, that's where we focus our attention a bit more on who the starters are going to be. So we hope you join us for that. That is our look at part one of Ecuador, and we will see you next time. We would like to thank Michael Foster and Pixabay for the wonderful music in this mediacast. The title of the piece used is Look to the Sky, Tribal Dance Beats Native American.